I heartily welcome you in the discussion in the exploration of inheritance. It is defined as a property using which an object of one class acquires the properties of another class, and that is also without a single digit, a single alphabet of coding. That is going to be done implicitly. Alright, this is a very powerful concept because using this we can extend the usability of one class. Once again, it supports hierarchical classification. That means the flow of the properties will be definitely confirmed. Okay. Okay, we are having various types of inheritance. You can say single inheritance, when one parent class is going to pass on the properties to another parent class. That means there will be only two classes in the program. Another one, that is multiple inheritance. More than one classes will be derived into one single child class. Hierarchical inheritance, one parent class will be derived into number of child classes. Multi-level inheritance, from super parent class to parent class, and from that parent class to another child class and to another child class. That means there will be number of subsequent levels. That is referred as multi-level inheritance. And whenever there is a combination, there is a mixture of more than one type of inheritance, it is referred as hybrid inheritance. Okay, in inheritance, let us get our hands started with a very basic program of single inheritance. Okay, you can refer the program, everyone, that is on the screen. We are assuming that class B, base class, is going to pass on the properties to the derived class, that is D, from B to D. While we are discussing the program, let me give you a word of precautions or cautions that is listed over here. This is our own technique for making sure that the programming, our assumptions will be never wrong. Alright, we are going to make a list of all the classes properties. See everyone, what is the use of the list? See once again, that is not this is our own method, this is our own technique in order to ensure the properties from one class to another class to another class. Fine, this movement of properties we are going to confirm, and that is the purpose of making a list, to keep accurate track of the properties flow. Properties means we are talking about the variables and the functions of the class. Okay everyone, I have already dictated list. That is the purpose of the list, that is quick and precise reference. What is going to track? The variables and functions of a class, that is going to be tracking it. Okay, here as a reminder, I have said something. Parent class will be passing on all the properties except the properties, the variables and functions defined in the private section along with the constructors. That means parent class, base class, will not be passing private member functions, private data members and constructors. Alright, other than that everything is going to be moved on to the next class. Okay, what you are seeing over here, there is the first class, base class, right, parent class B, and child class D is being derived from the base class. See, that is the connection between both the classes. That means the child class is going to acquire the properties, is going to receive the properties from base class, and it is going to hold those properties in the public part. See, that is very important. Where exactly a child class is going to hold the properties, that is going to be defined right over there. Okay, so whenever you're writing the code, do not miss that part. There is a connection, that is the connection between two classes. Without that, the properties will not be flowing. Okay, now let's get back to the list. Okay, first of all, if you just take a look at the overview of class, fine. See, we are having class B, so we'll be first listing out class B properties. Inside the class B, we are having private, that is variable A. Okay, that's it. Nothing is defined by default, everything is going to be private, that's why private. Then comes public part. Inside the public part, what we have, everyone? A variable B. Functions, now we are having functions, so we are simply going to listing out the functions. Fine. So first function, there is get underscore a. We are supposed to keep the list very short and very precise. That means no return types or nothing else. Okay, it is just to make sure the listings of a class which is going to be passed, which is going to be received. Okay, another function, that is get underscore a, followed by one last function, that is show underscore a. So there is going to be the properties of class B, base class, the content of class B, base class. Okay, if you just take a look at the child class now, see, these are the properties of child class. Okay, from the look itself, we can list out something, and the listing out part, let me say like this. So you can differentiate. All right, we need some different symbols in order to differentiate what is the class name, the public and the private and all. See, variables, that is without the brackets, so you can easily differentiate what is a variable, and the functions, they are with the brackets actually. Okay, so once again, in the private section of child class D, first thing we are having in the private section, there is a variable C variable that is defined in private section. Okay, now comes the turn of public section. What we have here in the public section, there is a function called multiply, a function called display. Okay, so that is the end of the list. On the look, from the look itself, you are getting these properties. Okay, now the addition part, the properties which is going to be given from the base class to the child class. Okay, once again, we will be referring the base class B. Out of this list, only the properties defined in the public will be passed on. Okay, so that is very clear. From the long list of base class properties, only properties inside the public part will be thrown to the child class. And where exactly a child class is going to hold it, catch it, we already made that clear in the connection itself in the public part. So we are going to define, we are going to receive, we are going to hold the list of properties from the base class into the public section, starting with variable B, followed by functions named A. Okay, here it is supposed to be AB. Okay, then get A, and finally show underscore A. So once again, if you just take a look at the properties of class D, child class properties, fine, not parent class. We are not talking about the parent class, we are talking about the child class. Child class properties, the first half, that is the visible properties, and another half, that is the properties implicitly given from the parent class to the child class. All right, one more word of precaution. So these are the word of precautions so that you don't make any mistakes. Okay, see, there is one condition, you can say, and you have to follow that condition. It is something like a object okay. So let me just explain that last line. What I mean to say is, the object, we are supposed to make an object in main function. So once an object is created, when the object is initialized, what properties it will be in the process of accessing. Okay, so that object will be accessing all the properties of the list of that class. For example, here, right over here, if you just take a look at the main function, right over there, we are having an object of child class. This is the child class D, and the object is small d. Okay, that object is of class D. That means out of both the list, we will be accessing, we will be following the list of class D. That means our object small d will be able to access all the properties listed over here. Okay, that's why we just made object same class and list, nothing other than that. Okay, so the properties which is not listed in the list, our object will not be in a position to access it. That means, if I try to write something like D, dot a. That will be definitely error. Okay, all right. So after creating an object, we'll be making sure that the object is accessing the properties from the list. First thing we are going to make sure. Okay, so in the main part, this is the list. Okay, fine, here it is. Okay, that is for your proper comfort. Okay, so that everything is visible to you. Fine, now it is arranged in a perfect manner, proper manner. Okay, here if you just take a look at the object, that is small d, we are having two classes. This is base class, this is child class d. The object belongs to the child class d. The name of the object is small d, and small d object is trying to access a function getAb. So what we are going to do, we are going to follow this syntax, this rule: object, same class, and list. So find out, just take a look at the list. Do we have a function named getAb? If it is there, the code is okay. Okay, and we find the function there. Okay, that means object can make a call to that function. That is okay, nothing wrong with that. Wherever the definition is there, you go there at the definition, you execute it. There is no problem at all. Okay, so from here we'll be jumping and we will be executing the definition of getAb. That means the values for this object, small d object, will be initialized, like a will be of 5 and b will be of 10. Okay, the next function, the same process once again, and that is object along with the function. Do we have this function in the list? First we are supposed to make sure. Fine, which class we are supposed to, the object belonging to the same class. Okay, so here we are having the function multiply. Okay, so no problem, go to the function definition, execute the definition, that's it. So from here we will be jumping into this part, and what we are supposed to do, you know, we want to multiply a and b. We want to multiply a and b and store the answer into C. Okay, now out of these three variables, a, b and c, if you just take a look at the list, one particular variable is not available in the list. That is a, variable a. Fine, that means our object d, in order to execute multiply function, will not be able to make use of a variable. So we have to make some indirect way. We have to find a function which can actually go there and get the value of a variable from there. Okay, so that has to be done. So what we are going to do is, from the multiply function we will be asking get a. So just everyone take a look at the flow. Object d made a call to the multiply function. So now we are inside the multiply function. Okay, here now multiply function is trying to make a call to get a. So is it okay? Is it appropriate? Once again, you just go with the list. Okay, multiply function, it's right here. Multiply function can only make a call, or it can only access the variables inside this list. Okay, so can you find get a? Yep, right there. So it is very good, very appropriate, very proper to make a call to get a function. Okay, so from here we'll be making a call to get a function. Wherever the definition is there, go there and execute it. Where exactly? Yep, I found it there. Okay, so what it will do, it is simply going to throw back the value of a variable. That value is going to be received right here. So multiply function is now available with a variable value. Okay, so now the multiplication will be taking place. The answer will be stored in C. Now we are having all the variables defined, a, b and c. Everything is done. Fine. Next part, now we want to print all the variables. Fine, a, b and c. All the variables we are supposed to print. What is the problem? Object belong to this list, and this list doesn't have variable a. Once again, we are going to access that variable indirectly. That means we are going to ask somebody who can do that, and also who is available in this list. So what we have here, we will be asking this function show a. That is done. That can be done. Here it is, show A. So our object, child class object, is going to call show A function. Go there, execute the definition, and show A will get the value of A for us. Fine. So A is available, A is printed. Another thing, display. Once again, both the conditions. Is it in the list? Of course it is in the list. See, right over here, and also in the public. So no issues. Go there, execute the definition, and here the definition of display will be executed. So there is a minor correction here. This line must be eliminated. It hasn't been there. It must not be there. Okay, it is not appropriate. It is just for the testing purpose. But whenever you're trying to execute the code, you are supposed to remove that line. Fine. Up to here, we have printed all the variables A, B, and C. One last thing. What we are trying to do is, now we are trying to change the value of B from the main function. Once again, two conditions. First one, B, is it in the list of the same object? Go check the list. Okay, this is the list. Can we find B? Oh yes, it is there. Second condition, second rule, is it in the public? That is also true. Okay, so we can change the value. So value will be changed from 10 to 20. Initial value, that was 10, now the new value will be 20. Once again, we are going to make a call to multiply. Multiply will be the definition of multiply right over here. We'll be making a call to get A, but before that it will be definitely accessing the list. Okay, get A will be giving us the value of A, will be printed, B with new value, C once again with a new answer, and finally everything is getting printed. All right, hopefully up to here everything is perfectly clear to you. Thank you.